Now in the last Ramcharger video, Dad and I test drove the Ramcharger and it was a ton of fun. The truck runs really good, but we had a little bit of excessive smoke coming out of the driver's side tailpipe. Now we spent some time diagnosing what it was, and as RT Lee 1 mentioned, it's more than likely a bad valve seal, which sucks because we took this whole motor out and we went through the entire motor, we lapped the valves, we did everything we were supposed to do, and it's still smoking. Now I was able to diagnose that it was in fact cylinder 3. That's the culprit. I unplugged the spark plug, the smoking completely goes away. So today we're gonna fix that valve seal. So I went ahead and I ordered some new valve seals so I can go ahead and replace the bad ones, and there's multiple ways to do this. You can remove the head, and I'm 100% not removing the head and doing all that work. So instead, we're going to, by we I mean me, I'm gonna go ahead and use air. So I've got the rocker arms off, everything is ready to go, got the air hose ready to go, but we need to find top dead center on cylinder 3, and it is basically impossible to rotate the engine with the fan shroud in place. So the last thing I want to do is puncture or hurt the radiator. So I'm going to remove the fan shroud. In fact, I've already started. I'm just gonna not completely remove it. I'm able to completely remove it. As long as I'm able to move it out of the way so I can get my hands there and actually turn the engine over, it'll be good enough. So it's only 4 bolts, so I'm zipping those out right now. All right. Fuck it. All right, in order to just get a good bite on that crank bolt, in order to turn the engine over, I'm taking off the fan too. I can't stand working in tight spaces like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the fan. I'm sure you guys have been here before. Oh man. So yeah, just gonna remove the fan so I can go ahead and crank this engine over without busting my damn knuckles. And I think the reason I'm pissed is because I'm cold. Because you guys know when you're cold and you hate your hands, everything hurts 10 times more than it should. That's what we're here for. It's for the adventure. So anyways, we'll get this fan off. And we'll keep it going. We'll keep it going. Whole fan, whole pulley, all out. Okay, now I have plenty of room to go ahead and turn this engine over. So let's try that again. Ah. I'm gonna take that accessory drive pulley off of the crank pulley. Those should be 15s or 13s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll take those 6 bolts off. This pulley can come off, and I'll have enough room to put my ratchet and wrench in there and then be able to crank this motor. So, tip number 2, here we go. So you actually have to remove the entire crank pulley. I don't know why I said accessory drive pulley. I thought it was 2 pieces. So anyways, yeah, that's off. Now I can peacefully reach the crank bolt and crank this engine by hand. To reach top dead center. Beautiful. All right, I can reach cylinder 3. This might be the part where I gotta wait for Dad. Yeah, well, I'm underneath the Ramcharger.
You gonna what?
I'm underneath the Ramcharger right now. So now I'm at a point where I'm rotating the engine, but I can't reach the spark plug hole to feel when it stops compressing. You know, you feel the air coming out of the hole. So that's where I'm at. And I'm not, yeah, so I'm not gonna risk, you know, is that TDC? I need a second hand here.
I mean, we can wait till I get there later on today.
Yeah, let's play it safe.
Break.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a break and I'll do it. Right now I'm getting off at the exit for Tirado.
Yeah, no rush. I mean, I'll be home tomorrow. But tomorrow I definitely want to go ahead and, you know, get that valve seal replaced and then put all this back together and, you know, check it.
Okay, very good. So yeah, I thought for a minute that you were working on the transmission.
Hell no, I'm doing that after.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the one that's been bugging me the most first, which is the smoking out of the tailpipe.
Okay.
So.
I'll let you know when I get home.
Okay, I'm gonna clean up here a little bit and I'll see you then.
All right, see you later.
All right, bye.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. So in other news, you heard my dad say that he thought I was working on the transmission. So we thought the transmission was leaking, but in fact, that's not what was leaking. Now the TorqueFlite 727 transmission, it's very common for it to leak at the transmission shift shaft seal, which is actually right above the transmission pan. So what I ended up doing was shoving a bunch of paper towels up there, like I mean a lot. So I could tell if it was leaking from the top or from the seal around the new transmission pan, because it was really hard to tell if it was coming from around the transmission pan or from above it. Now I did take a bunch of cell phone videos and I could see that it was actually, there was transmission fluid above where the transmission pan seals to the transmission. So I thought, okay, well, fluid can't travel up, but the truck's just sitting here. That's against gravity. So let me make sure it's not dripping from the top. So I ran the truck, came back a few days later, and you can actually see where the paper towels were saturated with the transmission fluid once it all drains out of the torque converter and back into the pan, and it was indeed coming out of the shift shaft seal. So really the only two things holding us back from enjoying the Ramcharger is the transmission shift shaft seal leak and this valve spring seal. So you heard Dad, I'm gonna wait for him to get home to make sure I 100% get the cylinder at TDC before I start pumping air into it, because the last thing I want to do is drop a valve and then I have to remove the cylinder head. So cleanup time.
Okay, just a tad more. That's it.
Top dead center.
Yes, sir. That's it.
All right, folks, so that's all I was waiting for, was for Dad to verify with me that I'd get cylinder 3 on top dead center. Now tomorrow the real work begins, and that's going to be using the spring compressor. And I'm just going to do both, Dad. I'm going to do intake and exhaust.
Yeah, do them both.
Just to make sure. So I totally forgot that when Dad used the spring compressor last time, it's one of those hand compressors, but the wheel broke off the top. And he did tell me, I just forgot. So what I did was I took a pair of vice grips and I just clamped them down real tight so I could still turn this down and compress the spring. Other than that, we're ready. The cylinder's at top dead center. I've got my hose right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and install this hose and start running air to it, and I probably won't record much of compressing the spring, only because the air compressor is gonna kick back on and it's gonna make a ton of noise, and I don't know when it's gonna kick on. So this part's fairly easy. I might do a voiceover, I don't know yet. So let me get started. You can probably hear the air being pumped into the engine right there. So here is the valve spring, and here's the valve stem seal. So you can see that it's actually soft, right? So it's not old and dry and corroded or anything like that where it shouldn't have been working. But again, we're having a smoking issue. My only concern is that it wasn't actually seated all the way down on the valve stem. It was kind of sitting right above it. But since I've already removed it, I'm gonna go ahead and put a new one on there and make sure it's completely seated, and then I'm gonna put this back together. And since I'm already here, I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the exhaust side as well. All right, there's no reason for me to video the whole reverse process of what's going on here. So what I'm gonna do is slam this together, and the next time I see you, I'll be starting this truck up, and hopefully at idle, there's no smoke as she's running and driving. So now is the reverse process, almost 3 o'clock. So let me get to it. I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right guys, it's been exactly 1 week since I've worked on the Ramcharger last. When I put the truck together, it actually didn't run like at all. It was sputtering, it couldn't hold idle. It was an absolute nightmare. And then on top of that, I got really sick, and I'm still kind of sick. You might hear the congestion, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Long story short, I needed to tighten down the valve cover a little more because it was pulling excess. It was an excessive vacuum leak. Once I tightened down the valve cover, it got to idle. The problem is that while I was doing that, I did adjust the carburetor and I adjusted timing, and I messed it all up from what we did 2-3 videos ago. So what I'm about to do now is retune the carburetor, get this thing where it needs to be. I kind of have an idea of roundabout where everything should be, so I'm not too worried about it. So that's what we're about to do right now. From the few times it did idle, it did not look like I fixed the smoking issue, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. It's a good sign. All right, time to tune it. All right, I will say I'm getting really good at tuning the carburetor on this now. I don't know if you can hear that high-pitched whine. I think part of it is the power steering, but it's definitely the transmission because it's pissed out all the fluid. And that's coming out of the Torque Flight 727 transmission shaft seal. And that's the next thing that I'm going to work on. But real quick, I want to check if I actually fixed the smoking or not, because when I was trying to get it started the first time before I got all sick and everything, I'm pretty sure it was not fixed. So what I'm gonna do now is just stop real quick and let it idle, because at idle is when the oil would pull up in the valve, and then when you accelerate is when you see the puff of smoke, and it's only on the driver's side. But even sitting at idle right now, go ahead and put the parking brake on, I don't feel like I see it. I'm gonna go look. All right, false alarm. Despite changing that valve seal, she's still smoking, which is a huge bummer. Brian, what am I gonna do? The crazy thing is, I get this thing running so good. I mean, she runs like a rape babe, like she runs good. And the other thing is that we've done a compression test on all the cylinders, and the only thing we haven't done is a leak down test. And I'm wondering if that's what I need to do next, because in terms of compression, she has compression on all cylinders according to the Ramcharger Power Wagon manual that we have with the Mopar 318. So check it one more time, maybe she just needs to get, everything needs to get seated in. It's really hard to tell because of how bright it is, but it looks like condensation for the most part. But then when you accelerate, you see a little smoke. I feel like, if anything, it's definitely gotten better. It hasn't gotten any worse. And you see she idles nice and smooth. God, I love this truck. I'll tell you right now, I'm not giving up on it. I do have a plan B in case I don't get the engine where I need it to be. As you can see, she's super quiet. She idles nice and smooth. Everything works the way it should. And I'm starting to wonder if it's just the bad piston rings on cylinder number 3. I will also tell you this. I'll tell you that even though she's smoking and replacing that valve seal, man, I'm looking, it's not really smoking. I don't know, I gotta drive it more. It's just really hard to drive it when it's not registered. That's what I need to do, on top of getting that shift shaft seal done up so it's not leaking. It definitely pissed out a ton of the transmission fluid. As you guys know, transmission fluid, any fluid, it's not cheap. So to just pour it in there for it to piss it out, it's just like throwing away money. But that's the next thing I'm gonna do on this bad boy is go ahead and fix the transmission shift shaft seal. And I'm gonna do it with the help of Omar 68 Charger. He doesn't know that yet, but he's got the 68 Charger. He knows a lot about Torque Flight 727. So I'm gonna go ahead and just commandeer him so he can help me, because that's the last thing. After that, I'm 100% registering this bad boy and we're gonna start driving it. We're gonna start driving it because I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired. Every time I look at this truck, man, I'm just in love with it. So badass. Also, shout out to everyone with all the positive comments, all the great Ramcharger stories you shared with me in that last reel that I posted, or excuse me, YouTube short, wherever you watched it. I appreciate that. I love that you guys see this Ramcharger and you want to share your Ramcharger stories. I love that. But guys, that's gonna wrap up today's video. Try to keep you guys along for the journey. I got some really, I got a busy schedule coming up in February, which is nothing but exciting stuff. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. We've got a lot of drift stuff coming up. We got 2 events coming in February. We're talking Dreamers of Drift February 1st, and then February 15th, we've got Clean Culture. It's a car show, and we're gonna be drifting at the Travis County Expo Center. So if you guys are in the area, if you're in Austin, come out, check it out, come say hi, come check out the drift car. And in the background, I'll be working on the Ramcharger. So if you don't see a lot of Ramcharger videos, just know that I am working on it. It's just that the drift program kind of takes priority, and we need to get that car ready and get out there and keep practicing. But I'll round out the video with a little eye candy. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for always pushing me to get this thing running and driving and letting me know how much you guys love it. It feels good to know that you guys love this just as much as I do. Until next time, peace out.